Hello, everybody. This is Lonnie with Charts and Labs, bringing you some CryptoU education. We're going to start off by kind of giving a little rundown, breakdown of what CryptoU is. I know a lot of people have already been playing with it and getting pretty far. Some people have actually completed what's out there so far. And so that's really exciting, really fun to see the engagement coming back and the excitement around this. CryptoU is being created uh, and a service kind of offered to some of the Texas Coin community members and Iskander community members that's going to give some a little bit of a financial literacy introduction, kind of talk about where money and stuff kind of began and the evolution that led it to the point that we're at today in crypto. But the meat of it and the meat of these lessons will be actually in crypto once you get kind of past that introduction level. Um, and we'll get really deep dive so everybody has a good understanding from, simple basics about like what type of wallets are, what is the blockchain, how do these transactions work, what is the benefit of why crypto has become a thing versus, the times and days where we were trading, rice for bread and how that there's some similarities in this crossover and the growth of where we're at, but why and how we got there. So that's kind of what CryptoU is doing. And then that's also what these Zooms are going to be doing. I've kind of been waiting until we got far enough into the lessons and into the content. Uh, been I have a nice solid curriculum kind of built that's kind of the basis road built. But it's going to be organic. We're going to have a lot of content come out. Um, as this is growing because crypto is also growing. We have different laws being talked about and passed. We have technology is ever developing. So there's not going to ever be a true quote unquote done with crypto U. There's always going to be something to learn and always going to be something to teach and help people. So I hope you guys really like those videos. Corey is putting together. It's more than I could have imagined when I sent him these scripts and these summaries and these quizzes and the content and the ability that he has to get the creative aspect of that into a visual learning piece is exceptional. So, I just want to throw a little shout out to Corey for making this stuff really visually stimulating and engaging. And we just want to make sure that we're providing great content as well. And I'm doing the best I can to make sure that we have a good piece like that. And we're getting some great help from great feedback from the community on what they like and how to go. We also have Jim helping us, very very tech uh, smart, a very techie smart man, providing great content as well. So this team has assembled, and Crypto U is going to be something that many people can learn from, even if you're not going to participate in the Texit ecosystem. But I welcome everybody too because it's growing into quite the community. So that's kind of what this is. And so now going forward, I'm going to try to hold this time slotted down going forward. And I want to reserve Wednesdays as the classroom day kind of thing, where we're going to talk about, we're going to follow the curriculum a little bit, follow the course flow. There will also be times though where things come up and modern or real world applicable stories will come in, whether it be about the Clarity Act or a development in a certain tech that could both influence TXT directly or just influence the crypto world. The technology will be nice to learn and make sure that everybody has a good understanding. One of the big things that I've always preached anytime I've ever tried to talk to somebody about this stuff and educating them on this is the best part about the education is not just learning and you have to memorize, back in like how we did in school. But the more that you talk about it, and the more that you read about it, the more you look at it, the more comfortable you become with this stuff. And the reason why people are much more comfortable with the US dollar or fiat currencies in general is because they're familiar with it. And that comfortability comes from how familiar you are with it. So there's a lot of people who are just not, it's not that they're not educated on crypto or that they don't know. It's literally that they're just not comfortable. So that's what CryptoU hopefully will also bring a good level of comfortability that people are not nervous about operating it, and then they're using it properly and safely. When you don't know exactly how you're using something, you may be misled or taken advantage of with scammers. Just like people back in the day were scammed with their bank accounts and Venmos and PayPal's and all those things. Every time there's a new technology, somebody takes advantage of that fact that people are not familiar with it and they scam it. So we'd also want to make sure that we're educated enough to avoid those scams and make sure that we're protected. So let's kind of dive into CryptoU. CryptoU is starting it off with the barter and trade before money became before money became a thing. Value is what was traded. Um, Today we value time, and skills are associated with value, and we use that value and we put a monetary value to everything because that's what we're comfortable with and what we're familiar with. But before money existed, the value was purely off of that old metric, supply and demand. uh, the lower the supply, the higher the demand. The higher the supply, the less demand. Typically, when there was a higher demand, it created lower supply because people were using things. So things that were hard to obtain became more valuable. In areas that rice grew very, very easily, rice wasn't seen as valuable. Along coastal cities, their fish was not as valuable, but as you went inland more, fish became more valuable. Somebody who is really skilled at making, metal tools and such would use that because they had that skill to trade for something that they were unable to obtain, like bread or fish or such. Um, and so there was always that exchange. But what, if you look over at Johnny, Fred, and George, and if Johnny wanted George's fish, but George didn't want Johnny's um, bread because he also already had bread. Well, that made it very difficult for them to obtain what the other had because they didn't see what they were offering as valuable. And that created a lot of headwinds. And some people were able to navigate that by going out and getting as much of everything as they could, right? So if you didn't have exactly what Johnny needed or what George needed, you could figure it out by doing the trade. Well, that created hassle, and that hassle made it more difficult for transactions to occur. We decided a um, centralized source of value was needed to help trade happen easier. And that's where you started getting the money. The paper itself doesn't have the value, or the coin itself doesn't have any much value. A lot of times um, it technically had a greater than face value based on what somebody told you, because like coins, when they were silver, obviously had their melt value or their silver value. um, back in the early history, we would see silver as silver, and it didn't have much of a greater face value. It wasn't until the fiat currencies came along where the the intrinsic value or the core value of that coin as it was on its own was less than what it was actually valued in trade. And again, that was something that came from the banking system. And the banking system is what kind of pivoted and was utilized to help make these transactions easier. The whole point of the banking system, the fiat currencies, centralized value, was intended to make things simpler. Um, and that's what it was sold to many about. Unfortunately, with making that simpler and being centralized, anytime anything is centralized, unfortunately, it can be kind of corrupted and misused. Um, the power became too great, and the value of that currency, we became too dependent on it, and it was misused, I feel. That's where we always had a advancement, and that was what creates um, the growth and the evolution from trade to barter and trade to a money currency into cryptocurrency. You start with what you have, and then it becomes, whether it be friction from the transactions not being able to happen, too difficult, that supply and demand not being equal, value not being perceived as easily to establish consistent trade, always led to a new development. And that's where we've gotten to crypto now. Crypto is now trying to build out the issues that we see across borders. You want different countries to be able to trade and transact easier, and having that fixed and controlled supply, which will defeat inflation. You know, the world's biggest problem right now is inflation, and it's not just a U.S. thing; it's across every country. Every fiat is having the issue of it. Everywhere that there's a central bank, inflation has gotten to the point where it is becoming an issue. Um, Inflation comes from the supply becoming too great and the demand staying kind of more steady fixated. Um, we really need to see something that has a better control and keeping that value consistent still without creating that loss. So that's where crypto comes in. Crypto is the new source to fix the previous issue. And what's building now is the trust behind it. Part of the trust is making sure that everybody's familiar and knows how it works. CryptoU is aiming to be that source and that stream. We really want to see um, people have a better understanding of what they got going on and utilizing that knowledge properly to make sure that they're in good projects and have a good understanding to be able to use crypto in a day to day because personal opinion, the writing's kind of on the wall that there is going to be a digital shift to on these currencies in these projects for the whole world. Um, and so you really got to kind of see that and start finding which ones are the good ones and identifying the quality in that. Um, so hopefully with CryptoU, you can see that and as well. The modules are a great kind of title or grouping of what we got. When you see those modules uh, coming out, let me see if I can get some up here. I'll kind of give you a little sneak teaser of what we got coming. Is it? Nope, not that one. Not that one. Sorry. Circle back to kind of the CryptoU talk, what we got going on. Uh, this one. Mm. Right now, what we're looking at with CryptoU is that foundation series is kind of going to be your introduction to before crypto and the evolution through. You're going to come up to the point where we're going to get into crypto in that beginner level. We have what is blockchain, how crypto transactions work, the wallet fundamentals, keys, ownership and control, crypto asset types, stable coins and digital dollars, exchanges on and on ramps and off ramps on how to use, security essentials, reading the ecosystem of the project, and then you have. I don't have my screen up. I guess I could share it with you guys. I don't mind. Let me do that. We can share it. Let me go like this over the shoulder. Let me see. Yeah, we can share it like that. Little bit of a roadmap of what we got going on just to kind of see. Um, so this is what everybody's kind of doing in the foundation level. Then we get to the beginner level. What is blockchain, how crypto transactions work, wallet fundamentals, and there's going to be between 4 to 8 lessons within each one. Keys, ownership control, crypto asset types, stable coins and digital dollars, exchanges and on-ramps, security essentials, reading the ecosystem, beginner participation lab. Then you're going to jump up into an intermediate level. We want to get a little bit more beyond just the surface level of what crypto is. This is where you're going to see how those networks reach agreement, what smart contracts are, layer ones, layer twos, and scaling these projects. That decentralized finance, DeFi banks, decentralized exchanges and liquidity, staking and network participation, governance and token utility, on-chain transparency and explorers, NFTs, digital ownerships and identity, um, interoperability and cross-chain systems, risk failure protocol design, intermediate application lab, and then we're going to go advanced for those that want to see the tokenomics and incentive design, protocol architecture system design, advanced consensus and network securities, market structure and liquidity systems, advanced DeFi mechanics. This doubles back and goes deeper into the governance, power, and coordination, regulation, compliance, and policy landscape, privacy, transparency, and identity, institutional adoption and infrastructure, macro context and crypto's role, evaluating projects and ecosystems, advanced strategy systems thinking, capstone ecosystems. Um, so that is kind of your little teaser at what's to come, what the layout kind of looks like, and where everything is going to go. And every single module has their lessons into it. You're going to go module, lesson, 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 boom, and that should carry into the next, or each lesson will carry into the next lesson, and each module will carry into the next module. So you should leave one with a good understanding and foundation to see what's next and coming, and that way there's always a progression. It should flow very well. But again, this is just kind of the basis. So this is what we're working at building first and getting a good roadmap. Um, no link. Just kind of a little teaser. It's coming. Because in the CryptoU, the, the versions, we're still kind of working out some details and stuff on how we want everybody to be able to access it. I think we want to give better access to our Texit and Iskander miners, but the general public outside of this ecosystem will also probably look to utilize this as a good teaching and cornerstone for everybody, and for themselves, and we gear to aim that to bring it to everybody. Uh, and that'll be fun. But again, all these are just kind of the basis. Anytime something comes up, this will be all in the flow state, like I said. So module to module to module, each one will teach the next one, or bridge the gap to the next one. But there's going to be times where, like when the Clarity Act is finalized, whether it be here shortly or later this summer or later this year, there's probably gonna be we're gonna have a module on that and break it down and give you guys a nice little understanding of what was in that act. And you're probably gonna see when we're in the stable coin era, somewhere around that, whether it be like a gallery link off the side of it or within the stable coin module itself, there's going to be the Genius Act, which we'll talk about that and break that down more. So we want to make sure that they have a good flow in the lessons, but also we want to have real world application. When events happen, whether it be a compliance or regulatory thing that comes out, or when a certain project gets a new development and teaches us a new thing. Everything we want to have in this is your all-in-one source for great crypto information, so that if you ever hear somebody talking about it, whether it be on TV on Bloomberg, or you hear somebody at the restaurant talking about it, you can find it in CryptoU. So that'll be kind of the fun thing. Once you kind of complete through all of the modules, also there'll be a gallery to where you can always go back and find it and be like, oh, I remember the guy was at the restaurant and he was talking about these smart contract things. I want to go look it up. Instead of going to Google and getting the surface level version of what Google defines it as, come to CryptoU and you're going to get a full lesson breakdown, description, and to make sure that you leave with a good understanding of what those are. Um, that's kind of where we're looking to aim to be at, is the better than Google version. So you can gain a true understanding of everything. So, oh, chat was going going crazy. Let me see what I got. That was me not seeing it. Thanks for showing it. No link. Are the crypto rewards paid in XP for completing? So what we're kind of looking at doing is the XP is going to be um, the is going to be awarded to signify your completion level, and there's going to be levels of XP that you'll get where you'll actually earn hash power. So you'll be able to earn, it won't be anything big. It's not going to be like a whole mining seat, but you're going to earn little pieces of hash power so that you can have the way that we're lining it up for even somebody who's not a miner that earns enough XP and they get a little bit of hash power, it's that ability to participate and see the real world applicable version of what you learned being in place. You know, learning the cold wallet, learning the mining, learning the hash, learning all that, and seeing it in real life. So a lot of people now that are participating in this are already Texit or are there affiliate links for CryptoU? There's going to be something, Jennifer. We haven't got all those details exactly dialed in. Um, but I think that's coming. There's going to be something along the lines of that. It's either going to be something independent like that or layered in with um, part of becoming a miner will be access to this. So those are some of the details we're still working out, but we really wanted to get out and show everybody what's coming. And that's where that foundation level came out, and to show everybody these videos are are not done quick and easy. You know, we're putting in some good effort. Corey is putting in some serious hours making this content really, really clean and engaging and using so that the user has a great experience. So it's not going to be overnight. It's going to be something that we're working on. But again, CryptoU itself is going to be something that's going to be forever growing, especially seeing the crypto side of things uh, that we have. Uh, Sorry, especially as crypto is ever developing. There's new projects, there's new technology, there's new uh, um, sorry, brain fart. Regulatory things that coming up and all, and we want to make sure that you have an understanding of that again beyond Google. So before I get too crazy off rambling and off guard, I just want to make sure everybody's got some good questions, all their questions answered. This one was mostly just an introductory level and kind of wanted to give you guys a better understanding of CryptoU. I want everybody to have fun with that. It's some great content and yeah. So these Wednesdays will be going forward. Will probably be a little bit shorter. I'll probably try to stay tighter into a module or tighter into uh, a lesson along that. The lessons that'll be on the video will be obviously will be very informative and you'll be able to learn a lot. But there's always going to be more, and my goal on these Wednesday classroom sessions is to take what you learned on the lesson and put it into a real world applicable case. How does it affect you day in and day out, kind of thing, and where we're going from there in the direction that crypto is going. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And yeah, I hope everybody is having a great week. Friday's lessons will be much more market driven. So Wednesday will be the classroom, will be the lesson about crypto, geared around the CryptoU curriculum. And then we'll go in on Fridays. We're going to talk about the market dynamics. We're going to talk about trading strategies. We're going to talk about what's influencing prices, and how to see those and what you can do to participate that way. So that'll be the difference between Wednesday and Friday and these going forward. I'm going to shoot to always do these at noon Central Time. Barring anything crazy coming up, I think I should be able to do that now. And yeah, hope everybody's having a good time. Get into CryptoU, get those lessons knocked out. We have some great content coming your way though. So be on the lookout. Have a good day, everyone.